It's time to create a profitable, scalable, and sustainable studio for yourself and your students. Welcome to Dance Studio Empire. I'm Jen, dance studio owner for 30 years, running multiple locations with over 1,000 students, dance business coach turned mastermind mentor for dance studio owners, creatives, and leaders like you. I know you're committed to growing your studio and creating the time and financial freedom you most want, while also being the best in the industry with a reputation to match. I've coached hundreds of studio owners who have grown to 250, 500, and over 1,000 students using my signature studio scaled method. And in this podcast, I'll give you the clarity, strategy, and CEO mindset to help you do the same. Let's dive in.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Dance Studio Empire podcast. Today is a really special episode because we have a guest with us today, Mr. Mike Harrison-Lamond. If you are on socials at the moment, you are probably seeing him around a lot. He's got some important work that he's working on with some very clever people, and that's why it was quite urgent to get you on now and to get this episode out so that we can continue helping you and your team take action in what is becoming quite a process, but we will get there. First of all, thank you so much for being here today and fitting me in.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, look, my pleasure. Look, let's just start. For those who aren't sure who you are and where you've come from, could you just start by sharing a little bit about yourself, where your journey in dance and performing arts started, and what led you to where you are today?
Sure. So, yes, my name is Mike Harrison-Lamond, and I have grown up around and in the arts. I used to perform in amateur shows when I was younger. I've done dance classes. And I've worked most of my career in or next to the arts, either in capacities within the arts realm or more recently around advocacy. So I've had a dance studio with my husband Nathaniel for the last 15 years. The studio itself is 35 years old. So together we've grown the studio from about 110 people to over 1,000. So we run 200 classes a week. In Melbourne, and it's a crazy, massive organisation, but, you know, really proud of what we have done during that time. At the start of COVID in Victoria, we, as in the dance and performing arts studios, were put in with brothels in restrictions when we were the first to close and the last to reopen. We didn't have a voice into government just to say this is not right. So a number of us studio owners formed Dance Arts Alliance together. And it was mainly to navigate COVID, to advocate for better conditions. We had many journalists on our side, really badgering the government, you know, every presser that they did. We were there asking questions. And, you know, we got some really good traction from that. Since, obviously, we've gone through COVID and beyond, we understand the importance of having a unified industry. That is really led by people who work in the industry, so studio owners and dance teachers. We now have members right around Australia. We've got a few large pieces of work that we're doing. Firstly is around child safety. You know, in an unregulated industry, it is absolutely important that we have a safe industry for children and young people. So we are the first organisation to have put mandatory accreditation standards in place. So every member of Dance Arts Alliance has public-facing, compliant, really detailed child-safe policies. They've got all their teachers registered with working with children. They've got their insurances, their licensing in place. We're a member-based organisation, so all the money that comes in through membership goes back out into marketing to Australian families to say, you know, we are an unregulated industry. You need to talk more to your studio about how to keep your children safe. And we also promote the accredited studio. So, you know, a parent can go online with our marketing links and then find their local accredited Dance Arts Alliance studio to know that their children are safe in their care. There are a lot of really good studios that do amazing work, but unfortunately there's a lot that are really not great at being able to run businesses safely and efficiently. The other piece of work we've done is around safe dance practice, which we released a very detailed report about that about a year ago. And this last piece of work that's on our list, a very long list at the moment, is around creating a new award that's representative of the work that we do in our industry. As you all know, being in the fitness award, it's very gym and swim focused, and there's a lot of confusion around what level someone's at when they're doing particular work. So if someone's at the front desk of your studio answering the phones, what level are they on? But then the next day they're at the theatre looking after 20 children to make sure they're safe backstage. Surely that can't be the same level. As you all know, like the top of the level 7 in the fitness award is around about $37 an hour, which is really, really low for the expertise and the work they're doing. So we started a consultation process to talk to as many studios, like owners and dance teachers and parents, children, like anyone's actually involved with dance and performing arts education, about what their experiences are, what they'd like to see in an award. And we're going to go to Fair Work Commission early next year to say we need a new award that represents our industry. But also Dance Arts Alliance will do a really detailed guide that sits on top of that, of how to implement that into the studio. We want studios to do better by making sure that dance teachers are paid what they are entitled to, but also dance teachers come along and actually have a bit more of an understanding about what the likely banding of pay would be based on their experience, qualifications, and even location, whether they're rural, regional, or metro. We put a post out on the studio owners' pages to say, we really want your voice within this consultation. And one of the posts that came back was from the MEAA, which is the Media, Entertainment and Arts Alliance, to say that they and AusDance have put a recommendation in to move dance and performing arts studios into the Live Performance Award. Because their argument is that the primary work that we do is around training children for live performance. And as most studios would argue, it's a small part of what we do. We are a training and education organisations. Many of our studios do nationally recognised training, certificate courses. In each state, a lot of studios work towards their state's vocational work and like HSC or VCE. So it's not just about training kids to go on stage. I know they love doing it, but it's part of like a broader amount of work that we do. So in actual fact, we probably align more with the Educators Award. Obviously, that's protected under government because it's all government run. So it's kind of brought a lot of conversations to the fore, which from my perspective is great. I think we need much more transparency. We need more voices. We need people to actually talk about this because we need an award that represents everyone that works in our industry. And as I said before, we need to make sure that we go forward and protect our future of our industry, have sustainable businesses, but businesses that are actually paying the correct rates and all the entitlements that dance teachers need to have. I know there are still studios that aren't paying super, or they're not paying their teachers to attend concerts.
And in a lot of cases, do you think it's because it's so confusing to try and understand and break down?
I think for some extent, but I think there's also a lot of people who will just refuse to be educated and be updated in what needs to be done. So a good example of this, what is a subcontractor? What is an employee? So if I employ you, Jen, to come into my studio to do an audition workshop, that's based on me employing you, part of your company or your ABN, that is definitely a subcontractor. It's a one-off. But if I say to you, oh, can you come into my studio? I'd love you to teach like 3 hours a week, this jazz class, and we're doing this particular syllabus and we're working towards that concert in 3 months' time. If it's consistent work week on week, if you're being directed on what you need to do, you are an employee. So you need to be offered employee, whether that's at the moment a casual or part-time or full-time. There is talk in government about looking at the casualisation of the workforce. So there probably will be moves towards full-time and part-time ongoing. I know a lot of studio owners are happy to be casuals. It's generally a higher rate of pay. But there's no excuse for saying, well, I thought you were all subcontractors. So if you're a dance teacher listening to this, go onto the ATO website, and it's very clear to say what's the difference between what a subcontractor is and what's an employee. If you've never been paid superannuation, even if you're paid above the award wage, you're entitled to be paid super. So, and I say to the studio owners, do not put yourself at risk. You need to do the right thing. And if you just ignore it, if someone's been paid, $45 an hour for the last 10 years, they come to you and say, you've never paid me super, they can go to Fair Work and get 10 years worth of super based on that. So just because you paid more than the award wage does not excuse you. So, and this is like the tough love that we need to have as studio owners, talking to studio owners and dance teachers about how we can make sure our industry is run as businesses efficiently and effectively, but it's not at the detriment of dance teachers who, let's be honest, are at the face in the studio with your parents and your students every day doing really great work. So I'm very much about making sure that we have a compliant industry and we're holding everyone to account to make sure things are being done correctly.
Wow. There's a lot. That's a lot you're taking on. With Dance Arts Alliance, that's a national body, is that right?
Yeah, so we did start in Victoria, but since then there's a lot of work that we're doing, including this award that spans right across all the states and territories. So I think Northern Territory is the only state we don't have members in, or territory we don't have members in at the moment, but we have members all over the country. I think more and more people are realizing that, organizations like MEAA and AusDance, who I have great respect for, you can't have one body that spans the entire industry trying to represent it all. And a good way I had a meeting with the chair of Dance Arts Alliance and our secretary with Minister Brooks, who is the Victorian Minister for the Arts, or Creative Victoria. And I said to him, a really good way to look at it is that you've got the first half, which is your training side of the industry, which is like as young as, when you can first dance, your first dance class, all the way through to the end of year 12 and full time. That's your training arm, and that's what Dance Arts Alliance looks after. Then you've got the career, the performance, your role as an employee when you're going out to gigs and you're doing particular work. And yes, as dance teachers as well. There is a bit of a crossover where we've got people who are like at full-time training but are doing gigs and they're like dance teaching in studios. It's not as clear-cut as that, but it's really important to know that studio owners who are running the businesses and are often the dance teachers as well need to have a voice. And that's what Dance Arts Alliance is. We're just looking after this part of the industry and making sure it's set up. We're lobbying government for more access. We're talking about, we are operating as a peak body. So we've asked them about being rubber stamped as a peak body to be able to roll out things like the Active Kids vouchers to members, and also asking for things like disbursements and reductions of fees for theatres. So even because we're all, most of us are private businesses, it's a bit difficult for government to fund us direct, but they can be funding a lot of these theatres that either are council-owned, state-owned, or they have some sort of non-profit arrangement where you say, hey, dance studios get this particular amount off in your local area. So those are the sorts of things we're doing to make sure we help and support studio owners in efficient, effective ways to run our businesses. But as I said, we need to make sure that the people who are doing the work in the studios at all times are being paid fairly. And this is why there's some teachers that come in at a really high rate. Some people are being underpaid. Some people aren't being paid at all, as I said before. So it's making sure that we're transparent, we come up with a really good guide, and we can go forward together as an industry.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's not a single, well, I'll speak on behalf of the studio owners listening who they want that. They want the clear cut. This is what it is. It's gone from being, at the studio owner making these decisions to the teachers then deciding what they want, and then it's become a bit of a crossroads and it's difficult. And so this is exactly what we need. And I know it's been spoken about for years and years and years, and you guys are finally doing that. So
it's going to be a messy scenario to go through, but we're prepared to do it. And none of us have any egos. I'm really prepared to be like educated on particular parts of our industry or people with lived experience to say, this is what the situation is. Okay, I understand that. Let's try and see how we can make that fair within this arrangement going forward.
Absolutely. I love that. I encourage everyone who's listening to check out Dance Arts Alliance, and I certainly will. Hopefully I
Thank
can
you.
get a
It's
membership.
$120 a year. And as I said, all the money is from members. It goes back into the industry to market for you and your listing and making sure that people understand what it is that you do. Plus, we're all volunteers on the board. We're all running our own studios at the same time. But everything we can do to make our industry safer for children and young people and better and give us as much chance of future-proofing the business of dance performing arts education as we can. And we'll always be banging on government's door to say, do better.
Oh, I love that. What right now do you need for you guys, from studio owners and teachers, to keep moving forward with what you're doing, whether it's the award stuff or the child protection stuff?
I'm really bad at sales. I'm not good at the studio either, but I would really encourage people to join up because you need to have your say and your voice heard. We're going to do this work regardless. So, but if you can actually join up and then every dollar helps us go further in the work that we're doing. There is so much we need to sort out in our industry. But yes, in the meantime, if you can join up, but also go onto the studio owners page, the Australia page. Do a search for Mike Harrison-Lamond. As you said, I've been very busy beavering away with stuff. There's a survey on there. There's a survey for studio owners, a survey for dance teachers, and a studio for stakeholders. So as I said, people who work alongside our industry, whether it's an RTO or a parent or people who are interested in what we're doing. Please fill those in, send them to your staff. We want to have as much input to this as we can. And be part of the consultation. Like we've put out ads around there. I want to hear from as many people as possible to make sure that we're covering off the broadest part of our community as we can. In terms of child safety, we have some templates we can send out to new members. It's really good because there's 11 standards, and it's based off the Victorian standards, but it's 11 standards of work you need to do. And it shows you what you can do in the short term, the medium term, and the long term. And it makes you check back in on that in 6 months. So, you might say that I'm going to put together a body for students to have a representation within the studio. So, you can have representatives that the other kids can go to if they're worried about particular things or if they have ideas or suggestions. It really builds engagement within that. But one of these standards is about having the people that have these standards applied to, the children need to have a voice in actually what is being done to keep them safe. And a lot of that is like stuff we don't even think about. How they feel in costumes, how they're treated in class. Do they feel particularly safe in terms of the way they're being taught? Are there more training and things that we can do within our studios to do better, to make sure there's continuous development? You just can't be a great dance teacher and a studio owner and say, well, I'm really good. I've had 20 years experience, but I'm refusing to learn anything else. We need to always be on a continuous improvement. So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to do. We do training and education. We do seminars for studio owners. We did have one music come in, which was not how we wanted it to go. It wasn't a conversation really at all. But we've had people come in who have been employment lawyers to talk to you about the requirements you need to have within your business. It's all about just making sure a business does better and our industry does better. So get involved, please get involved, because the more people we have, the more we can do.
Yeah, well, it really is a no-brainer, particularly the people who are always asking for help and support. So I really do encourage everyone to get behind Dance Arts Alliance. I will leave information in the show notes as well, so people can go straight to the website and become a member. Now, can I ask, what drives your passion for dance and this whole advocacy side?
I think from my perspective, I've gone through the arts as I said, as a performer, as a business owner, someone who's like working alongside a lot of people within the industry, and I don't put this professionally. I can't really. It's shit the way that we're treated, and we as in a society are so happy to absorb the arts and go and see shows and things, but we do not care about funding the foundations of dance and performing arts training. During COVID, Germany pumped 60 billion euros into their arts programs to support them all the way through COVID. The federal government, you need to double fact check me on this, released grants for about $250 million, and they were all competitive grants. So it wasn't like they said, we're propping up the arts by doing this particular thing. You basically had to fight for that money. So I think there's so much wrong with the way that we understand the arts. As I said, there is no minister for community art. There's no one that looks after our industry and the training that we do. During COVID, I lobbied Department of Education, Department of the Creative Victoria for the arts, and Sports and Education, and they all said, not our problem. So, no one understands what we do. So for me, what really drives me is making sure the arts has a future, because we've already seen many people dip out of, the arts and, performing over the last sort of, since COVID happened. But yeah, having a secure future, but also making sure kids are safe. As I said, it blows my mind that we're looking after children as young as like 18 months and 2 years old with fucking standards.
Yeah.
And it's even the ones that do, the states that do have standards, they're not being audited. The Commission for Children and Young People in Victoria have said to us that they do not have the resourcing to go and audit studios. And I'm like, government needs to do better. We cannot wait for more child sexual assaults and grooming cases to happen. We need to act now. And as I said, I'm arming all the parents to say, go and talk to your studios, go and talk to your MP. Why do we not have these standards in place? So my perfect vision is that we have a properly funded arts program in Australia, that we have the springboard for our performers, our teachers, anyone that works in like costumes or lighting, backstage, or even just kids that want to have a really positive journey and learn skills in creativity and teamwork and positivity and body image and confidence, go into the rest of their life with these skills. We need to fund that. And we need to make sure that kids are safe through that whole entire journey.
Yeah. That's some big things, big issues that you're dealing with. Even I feel like you've even educated me as well. So I really, really do appreciate that. And I'm sure that all the listeners will get a lot out of that as well. Where can people reach you or get more information?
Yeah, if you go to danceartsalliance.com.au, you can have a bit of a read about what we do. I'm also happy to have messages on Facebook Messenger, but please get involved. I would love for people to sign up. Even if you want to sign up and you're not confident about having your voice or contributing, everything that you do is making us be bigger and better. And when we go to government and we have 1,000 members or more and say, we are the ones that run our industry, we are working collaboratively with people who work in our industry, we need more. And making sure we have a bigger voice so government notices.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your time. And, everyone knows how busy, particularly this time of year, no doubt.
God, it's crazy.
What's been happening as well. And so
there's never a good time to do this sort of work, but it has to be done sometime.
Yeah. Well, we really do appreciate you and the team that is working with you. I just finished. I always ask a question at the end of each podcast of my guests, and usually I prep them, and I haven't prepped you because this happened so fast. But I just love if you would happily share who you're currently listening to or watching in the media at the moment, just and it doesn't have to be industry based, just who's inspiring you at the moment.
Oh, that's a really good question. I think for me, a lot of what I listen to is escapism. So I know with music and just putting something on the background while I'm cleaning and stuff. This is not really an answer, but it's just it's something that I spend so much of my time talking to people, learning, trying to advocate for a better industry. And I think when I check out, I think what really drives me is like the release and just listening to like some great music, or as I said, just having something mindless in the background. That's not inspiring at all, But I think sometimes for a challenge of us as studio owners is you don't switch off. You never switch off. You're always thinking about all the things that could go wrong. You're trying to put plans in place. So for me, it's like being more of a meditative state, which is probably very different from other people who are on that constant learning outside of their work. I find that my learning all happens within the work bounds and what I'm doing now. Every conversation I have with people working in our industry, I come away learning something. So that's what I really get that passion from in my work setting. And then outside, it's just I just need to like stop.
I think that's super inspiring. I love that. And I mean, there's periods, we are obviously having seasons in our career and through work, but there are times when I just need silence, like no music and no conversations. I don't even want to talk to my family. So I don't think
Just there for having a nice bath in the dark with just a candle on, and there's just nothing. So
yeah,
a
yeah,
challenge. Like, actually stopping yourself can be a challenge.
yep, because there's always something to do.
Always. If you
All
stand
right. Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for giving us your time. And yeah, moving forward, we can't wait to see what happens, and we will do what we can to support you.
sign up and have your say.